I mean, if you're going to try to rush something at the very last minute, you're going to run into some issues. And I did that. My hope was to capture this water. It was so important to our efforts up on the top. But it didn't happen. And it's led to some good design improvements. So over the next several weeks, we will go ahead and force through those designs. Now that I have some clearance from the county to move forward, I'm excited to do that. Today starts the next steps of fixing this reservoir area, getting it set up for success for next spring. Now, one of the first steps along this journey is going to be putting in a silt fence. This is one of the requirements. You've got to put about 150 feet worth of silt fence in right at the end of our construction area. Of course, silt fences be silt fences, and I have my 2-cent opinion about it, but nonetheless, we need to get it done. So today, Ron's going to actually cut that in. Last night, I went around and mowed this area to make it easy for him to get into it and put that fence in. If you can see here, we actually had a silt fence from last year, and you can see the results of that silt fence. That's why I have my 2-cent opinion. But we're going to go ahead and per the county and the rules, or should I say the design of the engineer, we're going to put the silt fence over here, about 50-60 feet to the east. That'll allow us to do some construction work in this area. And what I'm looking to do is put a secondary pond, not for use per se of the water. Its design is to simply make this area more workable. I've got these pretty deep ridges here on the sides, and I need to get that kind of cleared up. So I'm going to expand it so that it actually does another thing that the county was concerned about. My design on rocks in the liner would accelerate the water, obviously causing damage downstream per se. Now, that argument we can go again all day on that one, as well as when the water leaves my property, it goes into a deep ravine. My property is the last flat property before you get to the lake. So from that point on, it's racing down no matter what you do. So, long story short, doesn't matter. I think this issue of cleaning up this area and turning it into just a bit of a pond. Now, I'm not going to use the whole area. It's just frankly too big to do that. But I'm going to make it, bring it out 40-50 feet and take it down, about 3 to 4 feet down, level this all out so that it's a usable area. So some work there. So first of all, we're gonna have to put that silt fence over in this location. So we'll get that installed today. Then Ron is gonna proceed to go along this hillside here and give it some contour so I can mow it in the future. Also too, when dealing with issues around the property, it's good to have this all leveled out and straightened out so that I can get egress, whatever you want to say, back and forth across the property. So I'm really excited about this day. I mean, it's actually literally 8 days in waiting. Unfortunately, given the delays with the county, which ended up somewhat in the good at the end. It's now approved, we're aligned, and we get to move forward feeling good. It wasn't like I was trying to avoid them per se. I just simply didn't see this area as anything but, number one, my land. Number two, really the water's not here 9 months a year, so it's just a dry bed. So we had to gain alignment on what the definition of a stream was in this particular case. And then also too, looking forward into getting these hills kind of contoured, because I can't work in those spaces at all. So it's some minor grading. It's not massive grading. It'll ultimately have a visual of looking like massive, but it really isn't. It's just, taking highs and lows out of the hillside, maybe taking 3 feet one location, putting it in another location. So it's just kind of leveling out so I can take my tractor through those areas. So today will be a lot of that video. We will, probably record it, try to get some multiple angles and things of that nature. It'll be somewhat difficult. It's just a largesse of the space, but I'll get it out to you nonetheless. Wow, it's just gonna look so different around here once we start getting this going. You know, ultimately I'm going to plant upwards of 20 cherry trees, Bing and Rainiers, and then another 4 to 6 Honeycrisp trees. I probably have to throw in another variety there just so that they cross-pollinate. There's no, I believe they don't self-pollinate the Honeycrisp, but I love those apples. So I want to grow my own, and I can. So you can see here just really the rough nature of this space. It's quite an embarrassment. It looks like a big trash bag in my front yard. But you know, if anybody just talked to me, they would find out what was causing the delay and issue. So we have a lot of contouring to do here. We're going to have a D6 show up today, and Ron's going to go to work on that, get it all kind of leveled out, straightened out. We still have to build, as you can see here, the winter. You know, it's funny with clay. When you move it, it's like moon dust. When it gets wet, it's like mud, clay. So when it dries in the next season, it sinks because all that air came out of the dirt. So now what you get left with is what I call kind of a moonscape look out here, where all these rocks have been discovered and cleared out. And so it really has a challenging look. So over my right shoulder, you'll see that the creek canal kind of runs, you know, west to east. And there's a lot of work to be done there. When that's done, it's going to be lined, and it'll have 3 to 5 inch river rock in it. So it'll really look cool. It'll match what has gone on in the west. I've learned a lot from doing the west. So some of the liner work, some of the efforts up around the crust of the creek, all of that will be far improved from the west. I still got a lot of cleanup and fixing to do there. It was my first run, so I never built one before, and I now learned from that to make this one better. I know the sun's probably blurring it out somewhat. I'll try to change my angle just a little bit here. But you'll see this massive drop in the cliff here. That's going to be smoothed out and straightened out. Our crest only needs to be about 10 feet, and right now it's running closer to 15, 16 feet. So there's an opportunity here to fix that, and we'll get that straightened out as well. Another fun fact is I'm going to have to bring in some topsoil because this is so rocky I won't be able to plant against it. So one of the pluses of the delay is I'm going to be able to improve my design. I'm getting rid of this canal and that gate. The gate and the canal was a nice idea in the beginning. In fact, it was a retrofit of my original idea. I'm not 100% going back to my original idea with a 12-inch culvert going into the reservoir. I'm actually only need a 4-inch pipe. I learned last season that we really do have plenty of water flow for many days, that I could fill this thing up in 3 days with a 4-inch pipe. No reason to get any bigger, no reason to try to create an obstacle and work around it. So we're going to do that here, and it's going to be quite exciting. But also too, I'm going to build a gate on the creek itself. And when I say gate, I'm just simply going to put a board down into a cement structure that I'll share out with you, that I'll make, and slide a board into it, raise, if you will, the level of the water just about 5 inches. It'll exceed the pipe. The water will go into the reservoir. So when that's completed, take the board out. Season will be over. So I've really enjoyed learning everything about this and building this plan out. Just got a lot of work to clean it up at this point. Over here by the driveway and the 4 culverts coming across underneath the driveway, what I'm going to do here in this space is I'm going to take these 4 culverts, and 2 of them I'm going to extend out. The one on the very bottom on the left and the right. The 2 on the top I'll leave exposed, put some nice rock in, have it cascading down. It'll look great when it's running. It doesn't run often. What happens is the 2 on the bottom basically run the bulk of the volume throughout the whole season, as the flow here is pretty normalized. I don't know how to calculate this per se in the run, but it's pretty normalized. In other words, the creek doesn't literally get past about 2 to 3 inches deep. However, when we have a rainstorm on top of snow and frozen ground, it's a rager, and that is where those 2 on the top come in. So I'm going to go ahead and retransform this area. There's a lot of, if you will, cube here that needs to be filled. I've got the dirt. It's sitting up on top. Another neighbor had a dig go on, and I took the dirt from that dig. So we'll be able to clean this up and make it look perfect. Well, the first successful piece of this construction project, or should I say the restart of the construction project, the silt fence. It's in, photographs taken to send off to the engineer so that he can convey it to the county. Oh boy. Well, today we're going to go ahead and start on straightening out this hillside here. You know, most of this has been worked on prior to, but it still does not allow for me to travel up and down it with the tractor. It's not truly a part of the reservoir question, but given that Ron is here now, I'm going to go ahead and have him do the D6 work across all of it, bring it together, and it'll help bring in some dirt to this area and make the creek area stronger. So he's going to jump on that right now and share that out. Well, Ron's behind me working on this hillside, getting it all shaped out. You know, it's funny, you're sitting up at the top and you're thinking new thoughts as the land gets shifted in shape into what can you do with it. You know, it's gonna be at the end, it's gonna be like a bowl through here and a kind of quasi amphitheater, so you kind of get these wild thoughts in your head. But of course I'm not going down the amphitheater point of view, but bottom line is that's how I wanted to illustrate how it's going to look when it's done. When you're sitting up there, you really see that kind of shape coming to life as he's bringing this dirt around and shaping it accordingly. So it's coming together good. A lot of work to go still.